English Language, Chapter 2. It begin again. The page numbers are 28 to page number 33. Now let's have a look on learning objectives. For the better understanding when it comes to the entire key text, and also to improve reading skills. And apart from that, if we focus on learning outcomes, to explore the story, to read and understand about the whole story as a whole text, hence to understand about the characters, to improve the reading skills and to familiarize with the vocabulary. And also more apart from that, we can have a certain kind of learning outcome, which is to read it as an extensive or intensive reading skill, to improve that. Alright, let's have a look on why pre-reading is really important. So, it enables you to answer simple questions about the story and learn to retell the story on your own words, and to ask questions about a story which is about this entire chapter, and also to observe a situation and to read what exactly is happening in that. And also it enables you to learn and to write properly. Now if we focus on the genre of the story, this is a non-fiction, and non-fiction means writer gives information or describes a real event rather than telling a story. Alright. It began again. The chapter is a description of a recurring nightmare. So this nightmare occurred when the author was 10 or 11 years old, and when it comes to author's parents, they had to calm himself down when this recurring nightmare happens. Also, if we take a look at on what author is saying, I was standing on a bright sunshine on a hilltop. The hill stood on a perfectly flat plain. The hill was clothed in bright, uniformly green grass, as short as if it had been closely mown or cropped by vast number of rabbits. And also it says that the sky above was a crisp, clean blue with a bagged clouds like a painting by Margaret. So if we take a look at on what does it mean by plain, that means it's a geographical, what do you call, geographical, a certain kind of a geographical feature, which it means a plain and it's flat. And also crisp means clear and free of clouds, that means cloudless. Apart from that, we have baguette. Baguette is the shape of a jet, and Margaret is an artist. And here I have included a painting that is done by Margaret. Alright, let's have a look on comprehension C part. What evidence is there that the dreamer might be young and might have caused him or her to experience a recurring nightmare? So when it comes to this set of question, there can be a lot of reasons why a person can feel that a person can see nightmares. One of the reasons could be because of the fact that the person is stressed, or there can be certain kind of sleeping disorders. And also, if you take a look at on the second question, how do you think that the account of the nightmare would be different if it was written in the third person? Think about it. Now, what is this first, second, third person? Alright, so when it comes to person in grammar, there are a set of forms where we have to write it in a first person's perspective, second person's perspective, third person's perspective. So when it comes to first person perspective, it means you have to write it on from your own personality. So then we use I as a singular form, and we use we as the plural form. Alright, let's have a look more in depth. Alright, when it comes to first person, for singular or plural we use I, we, and then when it comes to what do you call objective case, we use me or us, and then when it comes to possessive case we use mine, or ours. Anyways, now let's have a look on the second person. So when it comes to second person, which means we refer to someone else's point of view, and for that the subjunctive case is whether it's singular or plural we use you and you, and when it comes to possessive case we use your or yours. When we use a third person point of view, we use it when we have to refer to a person, place, thing, or an idea. Now let's have a look on the third person subjective case. It goes as he, she, or it. And when it comes to objective case, it goes as him, her, or it. And when it comes to a possessive case, it goes as his, her, hers, or it, its. Alright? Apart from that, we have third person plural form, which is subject. When it comes to subjective case, it goes as they. Objective case, it goes as them, and possessive case, it goes as their or theirs. Alright, something that we have to keep in our mind when we are using agreeing person would be we shouldn't switch the person from person. So for an instance, we shouldn't switch the idea of second person to a third person and the third person to a second person. We always have, if we are writing in first person, then we always have to use I or we. If it's second person, that means you or you. Alright, and then third person is he, she, or it. Alright, and also the other thing is, if you keep on switching the persons, agreeing person, it would confuse the reader as well. Now let's have a look on vocabulary. So the first word is crucified, which means put someone to death by nailing or binding them to a cross. And then we have trepidation, a feeling of fear, of anxiety. And then we have minuscule, which means extreme small and symbolized with a symbol of fertility, an occurrence of death by an accident. And we have legimens, a short band of stuff. And we have dirge, elements of the death. And we have cacophony, which is a harsh, discordant mixture of sound. And we have syncopation, which means displays the beats or an accent in music. And we have gyrations and a rapid movement in a circle or in a spiral way. And also at the last word we have crescendo. Is the loudest point reached in a gradually increasing sound. Alright, let's have a look on prefixes. Now when it comes to prefixes, there is a base word such as possible, able, wo or cook. And we can add a prefix word which could be im, un, pre or over. So when we are adding these kind of words, it changes the entire meaning. So for an instance, possible, if we add im, it becomes impossible, and it means the opposite meaning of possible, right? And able, if we add un, it means the opposite, which means unable. And if we add pre for wo, and it becomes pre-wo, that means it refers to a time phrase, yeah? And if we mention about the word called over, the prefix word, and if we add it to cook, it becomes over, which means it's a manner, a form of manner. And here I have mentioned some examples. So anti-against, opposite to an anti-government. And then we have autobiography or automobile. Then we have de-reserve, which means or change. And then we have declassify, demotivate, D means the prefix word, alright? And then we have ill, ill, which is illegal, impossible, insecure, irregular. We have ultra, extremely, that means we have ultra compact, ultra sound. Under, that means less than. Beneath, undercook, underestimate. Then we have tele, which means from a distance. And we can use such as television, telepathic. Let's have a look on sentence level 1. Okay, basically we use different types of sentences for different purposes. So for an instance, we could use for statements, questions, exclamations, commands, so on and on. So now when it comes to statement, it means declarative sentences. So it means we use these types of sentences to make a statement, and it ends with a period. And questions, it means interrogative sentences. We basically ask questions and with a question mark. So for an instance, we can say, where's the cat? And then we have exclamations, exclamatory sentences. When it comes to these types of sentences, it means to make a sentences with an emotion and hence with an exclamation mark. So for an instance, we could say the cat is quick. That cat is cute. And also we have command, which means imperative sentences. So we can make commands and make requests when it comes to these types of sentences. And also it ends with a period or exclamation marks. For an instance, feed the cat. Alright, when it comes to statements or declarative sentences, we can use these types of sentences to make statements, as I mentioned previously. For an instance, we own a cat. Dinosaurs lived million years ago, and this is my favorite movie. And apart from that, when it comes to questions or interrogative sentences, we can ask a question by using these integrative sentences. So, and it ends with a question mark. So for an instance, we ask the cat, where did the dinosaur live, and what is your favorite movie? Moving on, we have exclamations or exclamatory sentences. We can use these types of sentences when we can form a function. So for an instance, exclamatory in function would be, I love this movie, I can't find that cat. So when it comes to sentences that exclamatory in function make statements with emotions, they end with the exclamation mark, as I mentioned previously. Also exclamatory in form, which means it is not an integrative and it doesn't have a shift in the typical word order. So for an instance, we could use sentences such as, what big ears you have, what eyes you have, what terrible eyes you have. And also when it comes to commands or imperative sentences, it means more of doing a request, and it is more to do with the command. Feed the cat, play the movie, could you please bring some water? If we consider on an opening sentence, it should be really creative and it should be really catchy, so that it would make the reader to read the entire piece of writing in a really likable way. So here I have mentioned some of the really famous opening lines. Please take a look at on that. When it comes to hook, it's the part where you have to mention about something interesting to grab the reader's attention. It could be a good quote, a good verse, an anecdote, a good incident. So when it comes to background information, that is the place where you have to put your soul out and heart out, because it's the heart of the piece of writing that you are writing. And one of the things would be that all this information that you're writing in a piece of writing should connect or flow when it comes to one another. For each other, it should connect and flow. And thesis statement is the heart of the essay, where you describe what exactly that you are writing in the essay itself. Thank you for tuning in. Have a nice day.